Hello everyone, I'm level 36 and welcome back to Stationeers. And on today's episode, I'd like to focus on one of our minor annoyances. Well, it's kind of major, because if we don't do something about it, it kills us. So that's a bad situation. This does not have the correct atmosphere gas composition. Right now, we are relying on me remembering grabbing this tank here, going over here, leaving my little pressurized area, either having gas inside, which like luckily right now I do, so I can just kind of grab that, coming back inside, sticking that in there, and filling this room with just a little bit more CO2. And while it works, and we haven't killed any plants yet, I don't think, because of it. I don't remember, actually, we might have. I'd like to not have to do that anymore. So I'd like to, perhaps, automate our CO2 injection into this room. So to do that, we're going to need a little bit of logic and a little bit of parts and things, because we want to... There's some limitations we have to keep in mind. So, A, we want to inject CO2 when it's below a certain percentage, but not like flood the room with CO2, because I actually still need to exist in here, and that doesn't end well. Take my helmet and stuff off while I'm explaining this. We can get some hygiene back. In addition to that, we don't want to inject like super hot CO2, although we should be handling that with our cooling loop, hopefully. And then also we don't want to inject CO2 if the pressure is way too high, because if the pressure is way too high, we'll blow up this room. So ideally we want to be able to tell the system, hey, inject some CO2, pull some O2 out, and kind of maintain a stable pressure and gas composition in this room at all times. And to do this, I think I'm just going to use a series of limits instead of like making some complex function. We'll just make it so that if the pressure goes above, let's just say 75 kilopascals, we'll tap it out until it goes below, like, and honestly, we could just, if it's above, start grabbing some pressure out. If it's below, turn it off. And then the CO2, same thing with the gas composition. Now, we already have a gas sensor. That's good. We have this IC system here, which I think literally just runs... No, that runs our AC system as well. So we can't use this one, but we can definitely find one open floor tile to stick another IC. But we're going to need some stuff, and we'll want to also plumb in our outside CO2 system. So let's head on out and start getting ready on this. And perfect, it's becoming night. Also, we set up our Starling engine last time, so hopefully this kicks on and gives us some nice nighttime power to supplement our solar and wind array up there. Excited to see how that works. All right, what all do we need? We are gonna want some digital valves. Or we could just use volume pumps, honestly. Do we use volume pumps or digital valves? I think for over here. I think we're just going to use a volume pump. Although, well, let's just see. They base power consume 5 watts. I think we're going to use volume pumps. We might use a digital valve over here. Yeah, we'll use one digital valve and you use one volume pump. I already have 5 volume pumps. Never mind, we're just going to use volume pumps. Probably make everything faster anyway. All right. This is actually a power drill. No, that's a valve task. Okay. Let's... That. So this volume pump here will allow us to tap our pressure off of the room. So now if we take a quick look, right, so pressure in there is like 56 kPa. If we just turn this on, it should kind of fairly slowly start coming down. Like this isn't going to pull a ton of gas because it's just a little volume pump. In fact, it's actually doing a really garbage job. Never mind, we're going to use digital valves. Was a bit of an error message. Also, we never turn our, we can turn our lights on again. We have enough power now that we don't need to be working in the dark all the time. Is there still a light over there? I don't know if it's doing anything. I think we can turn that one off. All right. Ooh, we're generating power. That's up again. Awesome. Copper steel invar. Our heavy coils away. Copper. Steel. Invar. Now for the adding CO2, we might use a volume pump. But we'll make a second digital valve just in case. Now, honestly, thinking about this, we could probably do this without any logic circuits. Like, in theory, if we didn't care about like energy conservation, we could set up a pressure regulator here that would say, hey, let 75 kPAs of pressure through anything, or a back pressure regulator. And then on the input side, we could set up a pressure regulator saying, hey, cap out at like 100 kilopascals. The problem would be then is we'd maintain pressure in the room, but all of the oxygen would eventually get sucked out. So we do need to be aware of how much oxygen is in the room. So let's set up a digital valve. Never used these before, so it's just a valve that has a switch on it. And that lets through significantly more pressure. Much faster. Now, if we use like a turbo volume pump, I'm sure it'd be fine, but I don't really want to use a turbo volume pump, so that's fine. Alright. And then we need to go outside, and I'm probably going to need some more plumbing. I do have some, but I'm guessing I need more. So let's... Do we not have any silicon anymore? Did we use up all of our silicon, or is it something else? Oh, it's over here. Good. Make some more insulated pipes. Really happy that's working. It makes me feel better about working at night when we don't have as much power necessarily. I still definitely think our solar array is making way more power. Orders of magnitude so, but it's really nice to have that, like, at least emergency power down here. For the big base, when we get out of this little base and we build our main base eventually, we should probably make like an emergency bus and a auxiliary bus and like a standard bus for power, so that we can have like the airlocks be on the emergency bus and like life support on the emergency bus, then like furnaces and some other stuff on the auxiliary bus, so we can shut down things when power becomes scarce. I want to do better with power management in the big base. But we should be able to start getting there soon, because this is kind of the last self-sufficiency thing that I really need. So you gotta remember, the intent of this base here has only ever been to be self-sufficient. It's not supposed to be good. Like, it's nice if it's good. Be great if it's good. But we don't need it to be like this awesome stellar base that does everything. We must have quite a bit of thermal load on all this stuff. Oh, I mean, we never did open that up. Oh, we never actually set it up. Okay, well, that's fine. It's working. Sorry about that. Not really getting that much liquid condensed. It's working. Oh, I forgot I turned that on. That's probably why. This is... Yeah. This is just venting now. Great. Whoops. Oh, jeez. Alright, what was I thinking about? Oh, we need to get this mostly cool CO2. It's not perfect. Back to the base. So we need our wrench. We're gonna want to go, let's see, that is at the top. So we're gonna go 1, 2 above it. So this is 1, 2. There we go. Now we can use some long tubes. Because these are an option now. There's an even longer one. Doesn't make them any cheaper, but it does make it a lot easier to place. So here's our grow area. It's getting hot again. Dang it. Bring that over to there. We're gonna want we'll have to come back out and finish that, but for now, let's just add a pipe coming down in. Actually, let's just there we go. It's hooked up. CO2 is available. Run inside and see if we can get this going. That's wired in. Let's name this while we're outside of our little inside area. Let's name this our digital valve O2 out. All right. Now we can head inside. So this should be somewhere over here, right here.
Waste tank caution.
So if we do a volume pump, that's kind of annoyingly placed. I bet you I'm not going to be able to deconstruct that from inside. Pain in the neck. Dang it. And I guess we can just deconstruct all this stuff. I didn't want to do that. That wasn't good. Dang it. Okay. Doesn't look like anything actually got sent into here for, like, pollutants wise. Somehow. Maybe. I don't know. We can just deconstruct this. We shouldn't need it anymore. Now, if we grab our volume pump, we can honestly, we don't need that valve, really. In fact, we don't need either of those. We can just... Alright, we'll leave it on the ground. Now, if we grab some wires. We should. So in here we have 1.57% CO2. If we turn this on, what? Is that not connected? Crap. Need to be quick about this. Oh, jeez. Okay, that was nearly catastrophic. That's what happens when you're building blind. Saved it. We're all right.
Oxygen critical.
Now that we're not being a big dumb, we should be able to... Oh, and that introduced a lot of CO2. So if we just crank that down to like 1 liter. We can rather quickly raise the percentage of CO2 in this room without much issue. That's a lot easier than bringing those canisters in. Now that does increase the temperature a little bit, but honestly, that shouldn't be enough to make a huge issue. So it's okay. I'm fine with it. All right, the plumbing's done. These should all be happy because the partial pressure of CO2 has gone way up. Now we need to write some logic. And we're going to need a place for this logic, which is probably going to be over in this corner because we're running out of places. So let's grab an IC and our laptop and another IC housing. And some solder. In theory, we could just run that cable up and charge the main battery bank as well, but it's fine. For the Stirling engine down there. I guess we could connect them together. That wouldn't be like the worst thing in the world. Yeah. Maybe if we get to it eventually. Which means we'll never get to it. Gold. What else do I need? Electrum. Gonna need to do some more mining soon, but I think our next project should help out with that a little bit. Because our next project, I suspect, is gonna be getting ready to go build our first outpost, because once this place is pretty self-sustaining, we should be ready to leave it for a little while. Ugh. Now, our first outpost is going to be a deep mining outpost with the intention of getting like steel and gold and copper would be like the perfect spot. But we'll see what we can get. All right. I see housing. Cabling. And a little bit of programming, and we should be good. Let's edit. This was my really bad attempt at our Sterling engine code, but it works, so I'm not going to complain. But let's make something new. So this is going to be to run essentially just that valve and the why can't I think of it? Volume pump. O2 valve SD0 alias CO E1 gas sensor as D2 define max CO and CO as we're gonna do 0.10 for 10% because I think this returns. Let's actually look at the gas sensor.
Hydration critical.
It returns the ratio. So ratio carbon dioxide is what we're going to need to compare. Fine max pressure as 75 kilopascals. So it's just 75 it should be. Right? Because if we look at the pressure, this is the pressure in kilopascals, I think. Yeah, we'll see. All right. Let's do setup, main, yield, okay, main. There we go. That's our standard sections. I always yield, or I'm trying to always yield at the beginning of the program now, so that if we ever jump main, we don't have to add another yield statement there. This way, when we return to the main, we yield and then do whatever, and then we can just jump main at the end of any separate functions. All right. What is it that we actually need now? We need to set up our... let's do this as efficiently as we can. So first things first is pressure, because we don't want to inject any new stuff if our pressure is too high. So we are going to load into R0 from our gas sensor, our pressure. Then we are going to branch greater than. So if R0 is greater than max pressure, we're going to go to open valve. Down here, open valve is going to be set O2 valve. I think the digital valve is just on. Setting, I guess. Yeah. Setting or on? I'm going to guess setting. This has a lot more settings than I thought it did. Maybe it's on. Let's try on first. 1. Else we're just going to turn it off. So we're just going to take the same statement and set it to 0. So if the pressure is too high, we're going to do that, and then we're going to just jump to main. So this will just keep checking. So if our pressure is too high, we're just going to keep going down this chain here. We're going to get to here, go back to main, and do this until the pressure is at or below 75. Now this could present an issue because if we're at 75, we reach 75 kPa, then this stops. Then we inject a little bit of CO2. Then we're back above 75 kPa, so we run it again. So what we're actually going to do is, hopefully that upset pipe noise is just my outside cooling loop. I hope. What am I thinking of? So what we really want to do is run this a little bit longer so that the pressure goes down a bit below. So if it's greater than max pressure, we're going to open the valve. But down here, what we're actually going to do here is, instead of just returning to main and redoing that check, we're going to then load into R0 again, gas pressure, and then we're going to subtract into R1 max pressure, and then we're gonna do 5. Okay, we need to actually drink some water. So we're gonna go 5 kPa lower than whatever our max pressure is set at. And then we're going to branch greater than, if R0 is greater than R1 now, we're going to branch to open valve. So this will just keep this will latch this until this condition's true, and then we'll jump back to main. And we'll do our off statement right here. That way we can also manually control this. So that should, so let's just do a logic check real quick. We're going to set the valve on. We're going to load the gas pressure. We're going to, so this is the current pressure. We're going to subtract 5 from our max pressure, so we can adjust this here. If we're still greater than what our potential max pressure is, we're going to keep the valve open by just returning to this and redoing the check. Then we're going to, once this is no longer true, so this is R0 is no longer greater than R1, we are going to set the valve to closed and then go back to main. Sounds good. Then for the CO2 side of things, we are going to do a, well, let's just see if this works first. So at the beginning of this, well, the pressure's not high enough right now. Well, we can adjust that. Let's just make this read out its current pressure. Set self setting R0, just so I can check something real quick. Export. Screwdriver. This is these don't have names yet. So this is going to be our digital valve to out. We need to name this volume pump CO in. This is just called gas sensor. It's gas sensor internal. Gas sensor int. Okay. Yep, so 55 is the current pressure in here. Does fluctuate quite a bit. So now if we have that set up, if we grab this and we stick it back in there, and we go back to edit it, let's set our max pressure to 55, confirm, export. Now it's latched, but if we stick our head through there, that's on now. And the pressure is decreasing. This isn't super fast, but that's, it's okay. It doesn't have to be, honestly, that quick. CO2 is still a little low, but so the pressure does kind of fluctuate a lot. I think that's because when the plants breathe, they only breathe a couple every so many ticks. So they'll bring the pressure down when they inhale the CO2, and then when they, in that same cycle, they'll exhale O2, but it's not quite even, so the pressures kind of jump around a little bit. Also, the temperature can affect pressure a lot. And the air conditioner is constantly drawing in and exhausting, so It's not a perfect science. Okay, that's running. So we'll check back on that here in a second. So for the CO2 side of things, we're gonna get rid of this. So branch less than, or actually we need to load in from to, we're gonna use R0 again. From the gas, we're gonna want our gas sensor. Ratio carbon dioxide. Ratio carbon dioxide. And then branch less than R. So if R0 is less than our max CO, we're going to go to CO. Nope, we don't want to go there. We want to go to inject CO. So we're going to do essentially the same thing down here. So for inject CO, we are going to set our CO pump on 1. Load, and then we're just gonna grab that, put that there. Now this is one that we're just gonna shut off as soon as it hits the point where it's supposed to be. We're not gonna have like a little bit of a range there. So we'll just do this. So if it's below the range, we're going to do this. This should only run like 1 or 2 times. And then we're going to turn the pump off. And then come back to main. I did just notice an issue. These don't have yields. So this loop is checking way more than it needs to. So let's actually move our yield to the end here. And then yield at the beginnings of these. Yield. There we go. Inject CO, yield, jump main. And that should kind of be all right. Let's just for nicety's sake have a thing in here that sets self setting to R0. That way we show the ratio without having to pull our tablet out. So if we confirm that, also it's 49 in here, and it's off. Cool. Grab you, stick you in there, export, grab you again, stick you back in there. Gonna inject a little bit of CO2. Gets up to 10%, shuts off.
Hunger caution.
Awesome. So now this should be a completely automated O2 farm, because we are able to see whenever our CO2 gets below where it's supposed to be, it'll inject a little bit more. Whenever our pressure gets a little too high, it'll pull some of it out. And honestly, 55 should be fine. I don't need to adjust that necessarily. Well, this is pretty cool. That was actually pretty quick too. Let's eat some baked potato. Toss you in the corner. And we'll just check on the rest of the base real quick, but I think this will be a nice quick video. Oh, and our potatoes are just about grown. Wait on the, wow, I'm not able to think today, apparently. Seeds. Alright. Yeah, our lungs are pretty damaged from our past exposure to to being dumb. And that's full. Okay. Wow. That's cool. That's really awesome, actually. So we're generating more power than we're using, which is epic. We do want to... Let's actually go do this real quick. Since I have a little bit extra time, let's check on the outside world, see how our coolant system is cooling. How are you doing? 10 liters. Not a huge amount stored up, honestly. I wish there was a faster way of getting this to flow over. I might know of one. We might mess around with this a little bit more still. But you're doing alright. 3 megapascals, about 60. That's at 52. You're at 87. You're at 75. These are honestly huge thermal masses because as they cool down, they'll also help support keeping this line cold if there's a hot source on it. So we have our CO2 line over here, and what we're working on doing was bringing it over here, because if we bring in our CO2, hopefully that's good enough. Nice, it lines up. So now we can hook that up to our furnace, and then we'll have CO2 just kind of on tap for the furnace to use. Let's go check out all this stuff down here. I want to see if this is all working well. Got 29 megapascals in there, which is nice. This is generating 4 kilowatts, which is actually really good. This is keeping this all safe because I'm assuming this thing is basically constantly running over pressure. If this is pulling in any temperature. I did want to look the solar radiator. Yeah, large extendable radiator. This requires a liquid. This would be a great way of getting really hot liquids that we could then exchange with our gas and get this to work really fast. That might be a little too toasty, though. Because if that pressure number ever gets too high, this thing go boom. But it's pretty cool that it's working. Probably, well, not probably, we definitely could set up some more of them and get even more efficiency out of the system, or just even more power. But I think that's about all I had on the schedule. Let's finish hooking this up because we did start that. That's coming down right there, which is kind of in the wrong spot, but that's okay. We can fix that. That's going to be a little annoying. Let's actually, this is going to be silly. And then we want to install a one-way valve. Probably should have put a pump there, but that's okay. We can add a pump in later. So now, open that up. We get some nice high pressure CO2 pumped directly in to the base. So we don't have to go carry these canisters around. We can just run it straight off of our main storage outside. Awesome. Do the same thing with volatiles, and we'll be doing pretty good. Really need to make a better oxygen fill station, though. Move this. Do something. But I think we're doing pretty good. CO2's keeping a nice constant percentage. Yeah, I think the next thing is going to be a deep mining outpost. Ooh, we're using a decent amount of power. That's dead up there. Now, I know from looking at the beta update log that there is some... Oh, wait. Yeah, actually, let's... Because I keep forgetting. We had traded for all those dirty ores before. I want to actually see what's in them. Let's kick you on. We can also do some more trading potentially. Just some random reagent mix, because I think this actually is kind of full of some good stuff potentially. Oh, let's also just see if there's any space gas station. I'm not that interested in that because I don't have this set up for gas trading right now. See if there's anyone else. No. Eh. All right, let's see. More reagent mix for the centrifuge. What are you actually full of? Oh, mysterious reagent mix. Because we got a lot of you. I didn't actually see what went up. I don't know. Something, though. We'll see. All right. Well, I think this is as good a place as any. So, yeah, next time we'll start working on planning out our mining outpost. How we're going to get there, what we're going to need for it, because honestly, we're going to need a lot of stuff. Oh, I was talking about the patch notes. So I saw that the deep miners, so I don't know what the plan is, because the deep miners are getting a rework. I don't know if they're adding a combustion deep miner as an option, as a more efficient or faster version of the deep miner, or if they're planning on just completely ex-naying the existing electric deep miners and making you use a combustion deep miner, or if they're going to make the electric deep miners just like terrible, so it'll just make no sense to use them. I'm not entirely sure. So we hopefully won't get bit by that. But I think what my plan is I want to kind of plan out and make all this stuff for, and I might do this off camera, honestly, a maybe 3 to 4 deep miner setup, because 4 deep miners is what? It's 5 kilowatts per deep miner, right? Let's see. Deep. There we go. That's its base power usage. I don't remember what it's like actually, or no. Okay, so it's 500 watts per deep miner, because base power usage is when it's on, and it only has 2 states, on and off. So if we did 4, that's not that much ore realistically. We should probably do like as many as we can. Each of these requires essentially 1 solar panel to run during the day. So 4 would be 2 kilowatts. 6 would be 5 kilowatts, right? No, that'd be 3 kilowatts. 10 would be 5 kilowatts. So maybe we do 10. Do we have enough to make 10? Which one do we make these in? E minor. Steel, electrum, invar. I'm guessing we don't, but we also don't know where we're going to put them yet, because we haven't done any surveying. Honestly, I hate to say this, it might be better for us to build a rocket than to build a deep mining setup, because we can kind of choose what we get with a rocket, you know. Well, I don't know if I have enough O2 to really make a rocket system, because that's kind of fuel expensive. Yeah. You know, I don't know. I'm thinking about it. A rocket would be good because we could get gas ice, which would potentially help alleviate the pressure on the O2. I'm going to have to do some thinking and some research between episodes. Either next up is going to be a deep mining outpost or a rocket. So we'll see what is a better choice soon. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. I've definitely enjoyed making this. If you have enjoyed, I always appreciate a like, a subscribe, a comment. You know, I gotta do that engagement farming like everyone else does. But I do truly appreciate the support. And I'll see you all next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day.